last question. It's really funny when you mentioned the thing about race and Facebook. So I use Facebook. Like people listen. That's the one place where like Twitter for me is really just like my mind and whatever's on my mind. Whereas Facebook is almost more strategic to an extent. And so I post a lot about white privilege on my Facebook, and it's funny, like you said, it's like it's I was talking about it today. Literally, there was a status that ended up having 120 comments on it because it was about white privilege, and like obviously it's all these white people who just didn't like what the article had to say. So it was really interesting.
Of course, it's sad because it's like as a society we know more about white society. I mean, we know everything about the founding of the country, the framers of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
We know about 1865. We know about the Hayes-Tilden decision, which ended Republican government in the South and the redemption. We know everything about America. However, America still does not know anything about us subjectively as the individual, and they still use this paintbrush of prejudice to like use this grand sweeping or the grand paint everyone is all the same, you know. And it's like one of the things that I love about those who are oppressed most in American society is, you know, they don't do that to white people. They don't say that all white people are the same, as some will sit back and say, well, all blacks and Latinos are the same. Look how they live, look how they act. And some people take comfort in their prejudice because they don't want to know anything other. However, as an intellectual, as well as an individual that's been oppressed, who has been oppressed, I always try to look for the best in individuals. I just want everyone else that when they see like a little black boy or a little Latino boy walking down the street with 4 or 5 other friends, do not move as if he's trying to pick your pockets, because they're probably on their way to the basketball court, you know. So this is something that's within our society. I believe that it's socially accepted for us to have these prejudices, or for certain individuals that have these prejudices, but not to speak. To have this privilege, but not to speak about it, because it's bad passe to talk about these things. But when you're caught doing it, some individuals react as if, you know, it's not there, when we all know that it's there, you know. So I don't know. Hopefully the discussion becomes much more open and honest about these things, you know. And there's no such thing as reverse racism, you know. There's no such thing as I want to lynch you because I feel good wearing a shirt which depicts Huey P. Newton, you know. I don't want to oppress you because I believe in the teachings of Malcolm X. No, I just take pride in my culture and my heritage, something positive, not what this capitalistic record company wants to oppress and try to say that is my culture, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. So I was actually going to ask you another question, but
let's do it. Let's do it. Y'all can chop it up.
But then I'm gonna have a whole bunch of clips for JoJo. Okay, I'll do one last question. So at the beginning of the conversation, like when I lead into the interview with you, one of the questions that one of the things I'm going to talk about is how marijuana is now being sold legally in Colorado, and you know what that means moving forward within regards to the war on drugs. So my question for you is, what are your thoughts on the legalization of marijuana in Colorado as well, or the legalization of marijuana in general?
I mean, to me, I would look at it's those spaces. Looking at Colorado, what is the dynamic in response to like minorities versus white people? Will they pass this law in an area where there is a high concentration of minorities? I mean, because the prison industrial complex is a big business. You know, this is federal money we're talking about. You know, there's lobbyists. There's all these other individuals who get money on the back end. Like I said previously, these rural communities. You know, so if they legalize marijuana in those spaces where there's a high concentration of minorities, how will this affect their federal money? How will it affect these local and state governments who invested in mass incarceration because their industry is overseas now? So with that, I don't know. I want to see how it works out. I want to see where they put it in the state or implement this same policy in a place where there's a high concentration of black and Latinos. You know.
I mean, that's a super fair question to ask. I gotta be totally honest. You really like pushed me aside. I was like, wait, why haven't I thought of that? You know what I mean? So I think that